Most people are under the delusion that strength is loud. They think it's the man screaming in the gym, the boss shouting in the boardroom, or the tyrant posturing on a stage. They are wrong. In the corridors of power and the annals of history, the most terrifying level of strength is silent. It is the strength of the sovereign monster. This is the level where a man has become so physically hardened and mentally impenetrable that his mere presence disrupts the atmosphere of a room. He doesn't need to threaten, he is the threat. He doesn't need to prove his power, he owns the reality in which others exist. Today, we aren't talking about getting fit or staying positive. We are decoding the brutal process of forging a soul that cannot be broken and a body that acts as its iron vessel. If you are looking for a comforting message, leave now. This is for the 1% who are ready to become dangerous. The scariest level of mental strength does not manifest in quick wit or loud arguments. It is found in the chilling vacuum of non-reaction. In the world of high-stakes psychology, we call this the impenetrable frame. Most men are like autumn leaves. Every wind of criticism, every digital notification, and every social insult sends them into a spiral of emotional chaos. They are easy to manipulate because their buttons are exposed. If I can make you angry, I have conquered you. If I can make you explain yourself, I have become your judge. But the sovereign monster operates on a 16th century strategic principle used by the most cold-blooded advisors: never let the world see your pulse. Think of the Stoic masters or the Machiavellian strategists who sat in courts filled with assassins. When an opponent tries to provoke you with a calculated insult, and you respond with nothing but a calm, predatory silence, you have effectively paralyzed their intellect. Your lack of reaction creates a psychological black hole that sucks the confidence out of your adversary. They begin to wonder, what does he know that I don't? Why isn't he afraid? To reach this level, you must begin to view your mind as a high-security vault, a fortress of stone where nothing enters without your explicit permission. You must practice the 3-second rule. When a provocation occurs, you wait. You observe the emotion trying to rise within you as if it were a curious specimen under a microscope, but you do not let it reach your tongue. When you master the art of being unshakable, you stop being a passenger in the emotional reality of others. You don't just survive the chaos of the modern world, you become the silent center around which the chaos revolves. He who cannot be moved moves everything. You cannot house a sovereign mind in a weak, fragile vessel. The physical body is the hardware that runs your mental software. If the hardware is glitchy, soft, and prone to overheating under the slightest pressure, your highest intellectual functions will eventually fail when the stakes are high. The scariest level of physical strength has nothing to do with the vanity muscles seen in fitness magazines. It is about hardening. In ancient traditions, this was known as body alchemy, the deliberate process of transmuting physical pain into psychological power. Every time you push your body through a workout that makes every fiber of your being scream for mercy, you aren't just building muscle, you are performing a ritualistic execution of the amateur that lives inside you. The man who voluntarily seeks out the cold, the hunger, and the exhaustion is a man who is taking the leash off his own soul. When you deliberately choose the harder path, the extra mile, the heavier weight, the freezing shower, you are sending a clear message to your subconscious. I am the master of this flesh, not its slave. In our modern world of climate-controlled rooms, soft beds, and instant comfort, a hardened man is a biological anomaly. He is terrifying to others because he is comfortable where they are dying. While the average person is paralyzed by a lack of comfort, the sovereign monster is fueled by it. By looking to your own physical limits in the eye and laughing, you strip away the world's ability to intimidate you. If hunger cannot break you, if fatigue cannot slow you, and if physical agony cannot make you quit, then what leverage does a mere human adversary have over you? True power is the ability to endure what others cannot, and in doing so, you become an iron wall that reality simply cannot crush. The third pillar of scary strength is the absolute mastery of the internal clock. In a world addicted to instant gratification, high-speed results, and frantic movement, the ability to wait is a superpower. Most people leak energy because they are in a constant state of rush, they speak too soon, they react too fast, and they reveal their hand because they cannot handle the tension of uncertainty. A truly dangerous man has mastered the predator's patience. He understands that the most devastating strike is not the one that is rushed, but the one that is perfectly timed. In 16th century Machiavellian strategy, waiting was never passive. It was an active form of combat. By doing nothing while your opponent is frantic, you are forcing them to exhaust their resources, reveal their insecurities, and eventually trip over their own shadows. While the world is anxious and desperate for the next thing, the sovereign monster sits in the stillness, observing, calculating, and conserving every ounce of energy. This level of self-control is chilling to an adversary. When someone cannot bait you into a premature move, they realize they are no longer fighting a man, they are fighting a mountain. This patience is the ultimate reality warp. When you stop chasing, you start attracting. By being the most patient person in the room, you become the most powerful. You are the master of the long game, willing to suffer the silence of months to achieve the victory of decades. Your strength lies in the fact that your timeline is longer than theirs. You are not a sprinter looking for a quick win. You are a strategic navigator who knows that the horizon always belongs to the man who can outlast the storm. When you finally do move, it is with such calculated precision that the outcome is already a historical fact. The ultimate goal of this psychological ascent is to become what is known as the dangerous man who keeps his sword sheathed. There is a pervasive lie in modern society that being harmless is the same as being good. It is not. A harmless man is simply a weak man. He is nice because he has no teeth, no claws, and no capacity for violence or disruption. His morality is a hollow shell because it is born out of necessity, not choice. But the sovereign monster is built on a different foundation, the integration of the shadow. This is the Machiavellian pivot in its purest form. You do not build mental and physical strength to hurt people. You build it so that you are capable of destruction, yet possess the absolute discipline to restrain it. When you have integrated your shadow, your aggression, your ambition, and your darker instincts, you no longer walk with the hesitation of a victim. You walk with the quiet confidence of an apex predator. People can sense the monster beneath the surface. They see it in the way you hold eye contact and hear it in the weight of your words. This scary level of strength comes from the fact that you are no longer afraid of your own power. You become the man who can navigate the darkest rooms and the most treacherous negotiations because you have already faced the darkness within yourself. You don't seek conflict, but you are the person everyone in the room knows they shouldn't cross. By becoming a monster with a leash and being the one who holds that leash with an iron grip, you command a level of respect that a nice guy can never achieve. You become an institution of controlled power, knowing that your capacity for devastation is perfectly balanced by your capacity for restraint. You are dangerous by design, but disciplined by choice. To reach the scariest level of strength, you must master the rare and chilling art of cognitive dissociation. This is not about being a robot. It is about the surgical ability to detach your logical mind from your immediate physical or emotional environment. When a normal person encounters extreme pressure, fear, or exhaustion, their brain sends a flood of frantic signals, commands to run, to hide, or to quit. Most men are slaves to these biological impulses. They mistake their feelings for facts. But the sovereign monster has built a mental firewall. He views his own internal states not as commands, but as mere data points. when his heart is racing in a high-stakes confrontation, or his muscles are failing under a crushing load, he observes these sensations with the cold, detached curiosity of a scientist looking at a specimen under a microscope. He can look at his own fear and say, "This is an interesting biological response," and then continue to execute his mission with zero hesitation. This level of detachment is what allows the elite to operate in the kill zone, that psychological space where others are paralyzed by the stakes. Whether it is a corporate takeover worth millions, a social confrontation that could turn violent, or a personal tragedy that would break a lesser man, the sovereign remains a ghost in the machine. He has transcended the need for comfort and the fear of discomfort. In dark psychology, this is the ultimate ghost frame. Your enemies will try to find your leverage, your love, your pride, your anger to use against you. But when they realize that you have no emotional attachment to the outcome, that you cannot be shamed, and that your pain doesn't slow you down, they realize they are fighting something that isn't entirely human. You are no longer repressing your emotions, you have simply moved beyond their reach. By detaching from the self, you become a weapon of pure intent, capable of making the hardest decisions with the cold precision of a surgeon's blade. This is why you are terrifying, because you cannot be bargained with, you cannot be intimidated, and you cannot be broken by the very feelings that define the rest of humanity. The final and most terrifying pillar of strength is the total ritualistic destruction of the ego. Most men are imprisoned by their own image, they are slaves to their reputation, their status, and the desperate need to be liked or validated by a society that doesn't even know they exist. This ego is a massive vulnerability. It is a handle that your enemies can pull to lead you wherever they want. But the sovereign monster has performed the ultimate act of psychological surgery. He has killed his ego and replaced it with a mission. When you no longer care about looking good, you become an unstoppable force of nature. You become terrifying because you are willing to be the villain in someone else's story if it means winning the war. You have moved beyond the petty human need for approval, and in doing so, you have stripped the world of its only leverage over you. You are no longer playing a game of status, you are playing a game of legacy. This level of strength is the death of the small self. When you enter a room, you aren't there to be admired, you are there to execute. Because you have no ego to protect, you cannot be insulted. Because you have no pride to defend, you cannot be baited into useless conflicts. You are a ghost to the opinions of others, moving with a cold, calculated purpose that makes people instinctively step out of your way. This is the scary strength of the visionary, the man who is so committed to his objective that he views himself merely as an instrument of his will. While others are busy polishing their masks and hiding their flaws, the sovereign monster has embraced his scars and turned them into armor. You become an institution of pure intent, an entity that cannot be shamed, cannot be bought, and cannot be diverted. By losing yourself, you find your power. You are no longer just a man, you are a historical inevitability. Your strength is no longer about you, it is about the unbreakable legacy you are carving into the fabric of reality. And that is a level of power that few can even comprehend, let alone challenge. The path to this level of strength is paved with the bones of your former, weaker self. You must kill the version of you that seeks comfort. You must embrace the suffering until it becomes your greatest ally. The transformation isn't a single event, it's a daily execution of the weak man within. If you are ready to stop being a pawn and start being the sovereign, your training begins now. Not tomorrow. Now. Join the elite. Reclaim your frame. Stay dangerous. Stay sovereign.